In this video, we will discuss that how the Python handles the files. So basically, in this video, we will cover the basics of the files, various functions that are used to handle the files, various file modes, and suitable coding examples. So let us start. First, what is basically file handling? So file handling is basically the process of processing a file. By processing we mean by reading a file, writing a file, or appending the current content of the file. So why we do the file processing? The file processing is basically done whatever we have. If we have to store something, then we have to store the file, and after that if we have to retrieve the data, then we have to read the file. So in order to store the some content or to retrieve that content, we have to use various files. So there are basically two types of files. One is the text files and the second is the binary file. The text file basically deal with the text data, and whereas the binary file basically deals with images, audio and video contents. Now how the Python handles files? There is a IO module in the Python. It is an inbuilt module. This module contains text IO wrapper class, and this text IO wrapper class contains all the necessary functions that are used to process a file. Now let us see various steps that involved in file handling. There are basically three steps. We start with opening a file, then we perform operations like read, write or append, and after that we close the file. Now let's see code snippet for this. Now in this code we have written file is equal to open, then example.txt comma r. Here open is an inbuilt function, example.txt is name of the file that we want to open, and r is a mode. Since we want to open the file in the read mode or we want to read the file, so we write r. Now here file is object of the class. Now which is this class? As we have discussed in the last, it is text IO wrapper class. So here file is an object of this text IO wrapper class, and this class contains all the functions. So by using this file object we use the read function. So in the next line, data is equal to read file.read. So we are using this read function to read the content of the file, and this content will be saved in another string object, that is data. So after that, the third step is file.close. So we are using the close function to close this file. So in this code we have used three steps. First step is to open the file by using the open function. Then we have used process the file, perform operation, that we have read the file by using read function, and in the third we have closed the file. Now various file opening modes, let's discuss about this. The first one is the read mode. It is the default mode. If we did not mention any mode while opening the file, the default mode will be read mode. Second is W, that is write mode, and this creates the file if the file does not exist. It will create a new file. Third is the append mode. Append mode is basically used to change in the existing file. R plus is for read and write. If you want to do both the operations, that is read and write, then use the R plus mode. Then comes the W plus. It is basically for write and read. So primarily it is basically for write. It will overwrite the existing content. And A plus is for append and read. And let's see now the examples. In this code we are using the file data.txt in the W mode, which means the write mode, and now we are using further in this code the write function has been used, which write hello world on the data.txt file, and in the third the file is then closed. So commonly file handling functions, one is the open function to open the file, then read function to read the file content, write function, it writes on the file as we seen in the previous example. Read lines basically reads all the lines in the form of list. Close function is just to close the file. Tell function, it return the current file pointer position, and seek function move the current pointer position to a specific position. So all these functions are present in the text IO wrapper class, and to access all this function we have to create an object of that class. Now let's see different reading functions. Now let's see, there are basically 4 reading functions. Let's see what are those. The first is simple read functions, second is read n, third is read line, and the fourth one is read lines. Now let us see how these 4 are different from each other. If we talk about simple read function, this function simply read the entire content of a file and store it in a single string. So let's see the code with open example.txt rs file. In this example we have used a new keyword, that is with. The main advantage of using with is that we need not to close the file after using it. It automatically closes the file. Otherwise we can directly use file is equal to open. Okay, so in this way we are using with. With means there is no need to close the file. So here is the example.txt file. We read it, and file is the object. Then by using this file we read the content and store it in a content object, and then we print. So basically what this code do, it read the whole content of example.txt, store it in content object, and in the third line we print that content. So basically read function is used to read the whole content. It is basically when we want to load the whole file into memory. Basically this is the main advantage of this. Then comes the read n function. Basically read n function reads up to n character from the file. If we don't want to read the whole file, we want to read specific number of characters, then we use the read n functions. Let's see the code example. So here with open example.txt as file, content is equal to file.read10. What we have done in this, we read the first 10 character of the file and store those character in a content object, and we print it. Now it will not read the whole file, but it will just read the first 10 character of the file and print it. So why it is used? It is basically useful for reading the file in chunks. If we don't want to read the whole content at one time, we want to read in chunks, then we use this function. Then comes the read line function. This function basically read a single line. It read the line by line from the file, but it reads a single line at one time. Let's see the code. In this example we have used example.txt file, and the function read lines read first line, will store in the line object, and then we print it. So it will read only single line. So it is used when we want to read the file line by line. Then comes the read lines function. The difference is here is read line, it is read lines. So what it do, it read all the lines of the file and return them as a list of strings. So let's see the code example. Here the file is same example.txt, but we have used the function read lines. So it will read all the lines and will store them in a lines, and then we print it. So basically it returns all the lines in the form of list. So it is ideal for processing all lines. If you have to process all the lines at once, then use this read lines. Then comes the write function, basically used to write on the file, and to use this function the file should be open in the write mode. Let's see the example. Here we have open a output.txt file in the write mode, and then we use this file object and write function to write a line, that is Python makes file handling easy. We have written this line on the output.txt. Then in the third line we close the file. So what basically this function do? This function is basically used when we want to write some content on the file. Then appending to files. For appending, it is basically to write on a file which already exists. Okay, the file should be open in append mode. Let's see the example. Here the file is open in append mode and we can write. Now the difference between the write and the append mode is that both mode are basically used to write, but the append mode, the pointer position will be at the end of the file, means the current content will not be deleted, but in the write mode the current content will be deleted. Another difference is if you want to open if you will open a file in the write mode, and if the file does not exist, then a new file will be created. But to open a file in the append mode, the file must exist, otherwise it will give a error, file not found error. So there are two basic difference between append and write mode. Now the working with with statement, this I have already discussed, that when we use the with, then it automatically closes the file. So there are two methods to open a file, either simply by writing file is equal to open function, or another is by using with open this. So but if we use the with, then file will be automatically closed and we need not to close the file. But if we use simple file is equal to open, then we have to use the file dot close in the end. So with we need not to close the file. Now error handling in file operations, let's say use the try except block for the error handling. Just see the example. So if the opening function or whatever the function that we want to use to process the file must be included in the try batch. So in the try section we have written file is equal to open, then file name in the read mode, then in the accept block we have written file not found error. It's a standard error, file not found, so it will print file not found. If the file does not exist, then it will print simply this error. So whatever the operation that you want to perform, write in the try block. Okay, in the accept it will handle the file error. For more content on Python language, please watch the following videos. Thank you.